Unit RON Mac 512, a Mac 512K smuggled from Brazil. In 1984, the Macintosh was born in California. Since Brazil did not allow the import of microcomputers until 1993, due to market reserve laws, everything users wanted had to be manufactured within Brazil for the local market. For those who wanted a Macintosh, Unit RON came up with a solution and created the Mac 512, essentially a clone of the 512 kilobytes Fat Mac. This is a vintage advertisement from a major newspaper. Any resemblance is not a mere coincidence. Rainer Brockerhoff, the first Brazilian to enroll in Apple's developer program, says, "It's a long story, but here are the highlights. The facts are as they were told to me at the time, but I have no way of verifying the political aspects." The clone was made around 1985 by Unit RON, a Brazilian company that had a very successful line of Apple II clones. Initially, the plan was to make a Brazilian Mac under license from Apple. However, Apple would not accept less than a 51% stake in the operation, which at that time was specifically prohibited by Brazilian law. Unit RON went ahead anyway, securing a $10 million loan from a government bank and, with the help of university labs and National Semiconductor, managed to reverse engineer the custom Mac chips. The floppy disk controller, which was simply a chip version of the Apple II's controller board, the real-time clock, and the PAL chips. Meanwhile, a software team reverse engineered the ROM, based on the inside Mac specifications. I was a consultant for that team and eventually did most of the toolbox management. Everything was coded in C, except for some critical device drivers and the QuickDraw emulator, which were written in assembly language. As a result, the resulting ROM was originally twice the size of Apple's. In fact, in the final version shipped, it was replaced with static RAM, which was loaded from a special pre-boot floppy disk. Meanwhile, Apple had somehow obtained an early hardware prototype that still contained a real Mac ROM, used for compatibility testing of the chips. They promptly denounced the situation and pressured the Brazilian government through the State Department. Faced with threats of import barriers for Brazilian shoes and oranges, or so I'm told, the government quickly backed down. At the time, a special license was required to manufacture computers in Brazil. The Unit RON case appears to be unique in that two contradictory reports were filed by official evaluators, a technical report praising the project as an excellent example of reverse engineering and technical ingenuity, and a political report denouncing the project as a despicable theft of trade secrets. Unit RON used the Mater Tectura font, the same one Apple used in the first Apple II models. Needless to say, the project was cancelled. More than 500 machines had already been made and were ready to be shipped, and Unit RON suffered a serious financial impact. They are still paying interest on that loan. The chip designs were later sold to a Taiwanese company that also talked about producing a Mac clone. There was a report in Byte magazine at the time, but I can't remember their name now. Lawyers also came down on that company, and they haven't been heard from since. Unit RON was later downsized. Today, they manufacture industrial electronic equipment and still produce small numbers of Apple II clones, which are apparently still used as stage lighting controllers and similar things. Another, later, version did not use the Mater Tectura font. There are allegations that Unit RON did not reverse engineer Apple's ROMs, but instead cloned the ROMs with some minor changes. These allegations are likely based on the prototype that contained Mac ROMs and was used for compatibility testing. The 512-inch Mac had 128 kilobytes of ROM, twice that of the Fat Mac. Rainer notes that the ROM code was written in a mixture of C and assembly languages. Jobs considered this a severe violation of intellectual property and was reportedly dissatisfied with the Brazilian response, resulting in an aversion to the local market. This historical dispute is cited as the reason why Apple took so long to officially enter the Brazilian market with stores and official products. Did you enjoy this type of video and content? Then thank you for leaving a like, comment, and share with your friends. Also, post the link to this video on your Facebook and Instagram story. Copy it to your WhatsApp status as well. This will encourage the revival of this channel and is totally free for you. Consider also subscribing to this channel. Thank you very much for your participation. God bless your life in Christ Jesus.